me say a special good morning to everyone who is viewing GBN TV, whether you're viewing Channel 7, Channel 11, Channels 20. Good morning. Those of you listening via radio and you're listening to whether it's 105.5 or 105.9, good morning. Welcome to this edition of To The Point, today being Thursday, the 23rd day of May, 2024. And on Thursdays, you know, we usually entertain different departments within the Royal Grenada Police Force. And today we have the Port Police Station with us this morning. Kind of wet saying that, but we do have, of course, with us this morning Corporal Garvin Alexander with us this morning, representing the Port Police Station. And our conversation this morning will be based on port security, the practices, the safety of the port, and other matters that we think necessary we could show to you, our listening and the viewing audience, and we will certainly share with you this morning. Let me go over and say good morning to Corporal Garvin Alexander. Good morning to you, sir, and welcome to the program.
Good morning to you, and good morning to the listeners and viewers of the GBN network.
All right. It's a pleasure to have you with us this morning. We're talking, you know, it's a bit odd of me saying it, the Port Police Station.
Yes. A lot of people doesn't know that that exists. There's a Port Police Station. Yes.
Let's. I guess a Port Police Station is doesn't carry the practices of an ordinary police station. Can I say that?
We do from time to time. The Port Police Department is an arm of the Royal Grenada Police Force, which means that we are entrusted with all responsibilities as a day-to-day police officer.
All right.
That's within the conventional policing aspect of it.
All right, understandably so. I'm happy to know that. Because, you know, some folks would have a different feel. Well, it is a Port Police today, and there's something different as it relates to how you see a regular police station will operate. That was the kind of notion I was going at. All right. So we're talking port security. When we say port security in general, what is the Port Police Station? What are the practices that I should ask in terms of when you say Port Police, in terms of the the port security? Tell us about that.
Right. Port Police is mainly geared at the safety and security of the port, ensuring that within the normal realms of things, that the port remains a secure place to conduct business transactions.
All right. So it's basically but what other responsibility, I should ask, does the Port Police Station, of course, are entrusted to?
Right. While our main function is that of security, right? We are police officers in the first instance.
Yes.
So from time to time, persons may come to you within the confines of the port and make reports. They may ask for advice, and you'll direct them accordingly if it's outside the realms of your normal port duties.
Okay, all right. So you may not be responsible for folks coming and say, hey, officer, I need to clear my barrel, or clearly that's not your responsibility.
Well, we operate in an environment where there's different entities, right? And we operate jointly to ensure that our business transaction is smooth as possible to the general public.
All right. Now, give us the importance of security and safety, especially on the ports. Tell us about the importance of that.
One should not at any time ignore the importance or the significance of port security.
Yeah.
Failure to adhere to certain conditions could interfere with the boating of ships. And what do I mean? Now, the St. George's Cargo Port, or the ports within the state of Grenada, operate under what you call an ISPS code.
Yeah.
Right? And that is the International Shipping and Port Facility Code. And at the moment, Grenada, or the St. George's Cargo Port, operates under level 1, which means that there are limited or no threats to ships boating at your facility. Now, if we fail to adhere to the guidelines, we can move quickly in no time to level 3.
All right.
Which means that there's a heightened level of threats to ships boating at your facility. And once that is so, ships will not be able to boat at your facility until you meet the criteria set, or the guidelines set by the ISPS code.
All right. When does these particular code levels kick in? What threats that are eminent that will sort of instigate those levels be kicked in from level? You say you're at level 1 now. When we
level
get to
1.
How do we get to those other levels? What threats will be eminent that will instigate you wanting to get to those other levels?
You can have the state of crime.
Yeah.
terrorists, right? Bomb threats, right? Because, for example, if the port is under serious bomb threats or so, no ship would want to come.
So true.
It will threaten their safety. So until you put measures in place that will guarantee the safety of those vessels, they will not come.
All right. So getting to those levels, it depends on the imminent threat that's available.
Imminent threats,
that
yes.
is available
Definitely.
at the time. So these threats are coming, then you get to those different levels. Get to those levels. All right, interesting to know. Tell us about procedures. We know from time to time we've been hearing from time to time there'll be releases of new procedures and so forth that individuals should use when they're going to use the ports and so forth, entering and operating at the port. Let's talk a wee bit about those procedures for it.
Right. Now, at the port, safety is our number one priority.
Yeah.
Because as you know, at the port we have various heavy equipment operating. And it is our responsibility to ensure that someone coming to the facility to conduct business, they are safe from the time they enter the facility to the time they are departing the facility. Okay? So we want persons to know that when you are coming to do business at the port, you first ensure that you have the documentation from your agent. Because we have had instances where persons they expect a barrel, they expect a box.
They're just coming to check
They're
on
just coming to see if it come already. Especially that of vehicles. You expect a vehicle, you may be passing and you see the vessel in port, one of the vehicle.
Or the boats
Yes.
carried.
And you will, officer, I expect a vehicle coming. I want to come and see if it come already because I see the boats inside. That is a no-no.
That we don't work like that.
We don't work like that at all.
All right.
Because we have to understand too that, as I said before, we operate in a highly secured environment. That is, the port is a secured environment. It is where most of the government's revenue comes from. So it is our responsibility to ensure that the port remains secured for everyone 24/7.
All right.
Right? So once you have your documentation from your agent, you will come to the port, you'll go to the first window, and you'll purchase what you call a dollar pass.
Yeah.
Right? That would give you entry, pre-entry that is, into the port. You then move to the second window, where you will encounter the port security officers. Right? You will present your documentation from your agent. Right? You'll also present a valid picture identification card. It can be a driver's license, your passport, some picture ID, but it must be valid.
Okay.
You will hand that documentation and the ID card to the officer. They will ask you simple questions that you will have to answer. All right? You will then leave that ID card with the officer, and you'll proceed through what you call the turnstile. At the inside, you'll be handed a visitor's vest and a visitor's pass.
Okay.
That would show that you are visiting the port and you are here to conduct business. And you will follow the yellow marking on the ground. That we call that the safe zone or the safe walking area. Once you follow that marking, it will take you directly to the various sheds. Most of the business is conducted at what we call our main shed or shed 1. Right? There are also markings that take you to the queen shed and shed 3. Right? If I should stick a pin here, persons need to understand that the port operates, there are 2 different ports.
Yes.
Within Port St. George.
Really?
You have the international port. That is where the containers they are imported. And then you have the CARICOM side of it, where the CARICOM vessels dock.
Okay.
And we say CARICOM vessels, we speak in most of them from St. Vincent, from Trinidad, and so on.
All right.
That is where they dock. And they operate slightly differently. Now, the CARICOM port is not so much guided by the ISPS code.
Why is that? Why is that so?
Because, as it says, the ISPS code is the international, right? shipping and port facility code.
Okay.
While the CARICOM side of it is more of a localized.
All right.
Right?
All right.
And localized meaning within the CARICOM region. But there are still guidelines.
Okay, because I was going to ask if there's, I was still
follow.
going to ask if there's no particular code level, even though it's localized, as we'd say, but it's the port. You know, I was still going to ask the question: is there no particular rules and regulation that guides, even though it's the CARICOM port, as you mentioned?
There are rules and guidelines for both ports.
All right.
But I'm saying that the international port is more so guided by the ISPS code.
All right, understandably so.
All right? And persons need to be mindful of that. Now, to enter the port, persons must be dressed properly. Persons will not be allowed to enter the port to conduct any business transaction if they are wearing, for example, a slipper.
Okay.
Females in particular. You will not want somebody doing business at your facility with all the body parts outside.
All right.
Clothing that are too revealing. Because we have to remember it's a business place. You are here to conduct business transactions. So you must present yourself accordingly.
All right.
And persons, you know, one of the challenges that we face from time to time, persons may come to conduct business and they may have a slipper in their foot. But they know of the guidelines, you know. So they walk with a shoe in their bag. And they will challenge you, officer, I didn't know I have to wear shoes. And I come out from the country. What are you begin to challenge them? If they get vexed, they will troops, they will carry on. But you'll see them go after and take out the shoe in the bag.
But that could have been taken care of initially. In the first stage and get it over with. Mm.
So we want persons to be mindful of that.
All right.
We also want persons to be mindful of the fact that pictures and videos of any section of the port is forbidden.
Okay.
That takes us back to the port being a highly secured place.
That could compromise things.
And it could compromise security to the highest level. For example, the flying of drones over the port is forbidden.
All right.
And up to 3 days ago, someone was flying a drone over the port. It was seen for almost an hour over the port. And suddenly the drone came down and landed in the yard. No, that goes against.
I guess that would be confiscated there.
It was confiscated. No one has come to to own it up, and it will not be returned.
All right.
So we want persons to be mindful of that.
All right. There's another question I would like to ask a reporter for someone visiting the port, that individual who has the paperwork, and they decide to have another family member or friend accompany them. What's the procedure for that?
All right. No, we do not expect 5 and 6 persons coming to clear one piece of cargo.
All right.
All right. No, it's all about discretion. Right. For example, we'll have our senior citizens. Granny expect her daughter or son from the UK or the States to send a barrel for her. While she has someone in the house that could come and clear that barrel, she's excited.
She wants
to come. She wants to make sure that nobody takes nothing from her barrel. All right? Some of them may be walking with stick. Right? Based on the circumstances, we'll allow one additional person to come with granny or grandpa to assist, because it's a lot of walking, right? There are different entities on the port, right? It's an amalgamation of efforts to ensure that the process runs smoothly, all right? And we are hoping within short order that all payments, everything can be done in one localized area. It is something that is being worked on, and it should materialize in short order.
All right. Right. Corporal, we drew for a break. Let's take our first break. We come back. There's still a lot more that we need to talk about. Stay with us, folks. We will be right back after the break. Stay with us here. It's To The Point for today, Thursday, the 23rd day of May. We will be right back. Stay with us.
Use a pan to wash and rinse your dishes. Save water.
This awareness initiative is part of activities under the Climate Resilient Water sector in Grenada. The project is funded by the Green Climate Fund, the German government, and the government of Grenada.
Ladies and gentlemen, the time has come for Grenada to laugh again. Heritage Theatre presents Spice Laugh Comedy Bash 2024, Saturday, June 22nd and Sunday, 23rd June at the Trade Center in Grandance, and on Sunday, 30th June at the Deluxe Cinema in Grenville. Showtime, 7 p.m. every time, featuring some of Grenada's best ambassadors of comedy: Robert White, Dillion Walters, Kareem Alexis, Dale Bola, and other outstanding comedic performances, all coming to knock you off your seats with laughter. Get your tickets now. Bring out the entire family. Tickets are $60 and available at Mitchell's Pharmacy in Grandance, Gittins Health and Wellness at all outlets, Art and Soul Bookstore, Spiceland Mall, 3B's Shoe Store, downtown St. George's, Calico Supermarket, Grenville and Sutairs, St. David's Pharmacy, and Go to Fet. It's time for Spice Laugh Comedy Bash 2024.
Welcome back once again, listeners. Welcome back, viewers. Those of you via our social media platform, good morning, and good morning to you once again, and thanks for being with us. Corporal Alexander, welcome back once again. Let's continue in our discussion on the of course, the different procedures and so forth. We spoke a wee bit in terms of the entry procedure. We spoke a wee bit about that. We also, before we took the break, we were talking about how folks get to come in terms of not the extra persons that you said. You don't need 5 persons to come to clear one particular piece of cargo. You don't need that. You did speak about the exception being made if an elderly person has someone accompany them. That may be okay under the circumstances. Now, what are some other procedures that individuals need to perform, and that in terms of when they come to visit the port?
Okay.
Right.
Now, once you have gained access to the port, you enter the shed. You will search for your barrel, your box, whatever it is. However, there's persons in the shed who we refer to as porters.
Okay.
Right? They will assist you in finding your item.
All right.
Then the box or the barrel will be opened in your presence. The porters will assist you in opening it. After which you will take out a small portion to the satisfaction of the custom officers.
All right.
And the purpose of that is to obtain a value of your box, your barrel, the crate, whatever it is.
All right, whatever it's contained
in it, yes.
Within there.
Customs will value same.
All right.
After the value is given to you, you will proceed to the customs cashier, and you will pay a percentage of the value of the item that was given to you. You will then make your way back to the shed, and you will go to the GPA window and present your documents, your receipts that you have obtained, and you'll be given what you call an exit pass.
Yes.
Now, the exit pass is what will give you the go-ahead to exit or to remove the items from the shed. But before that is moved from the shed, it will must be verified by the port security officers stationed at the shed.
Okay.
And that is simply to ensure that what you are leaving the shed with belongs to you.
All right. Because sometimes you wonder why that is. Well, I have come, I cleared my stuff, I'm leaving. They want to know what they want to show me the paperwork again.
Yes.
You understand? I understand the reasons for it, you know. Because you want to verify, because someone may come to, their paperwork may be showing one particular item they come to, and then you see 3 and 4 leaving. So they probably there'll be a problem there. All right.
That is just ensuring that nobody leaves with somebody else's item. Now, no security system is 100% foolproof.
All right.
And there may be instances from time to time where persons may exit with item that does not necessarily belong to them. There may be persons with the same name, same address, but you know what you expect.
All right. I always ask. I want to ask a question of verification from the port security. How do the port security verify individuals who are coming to clear stuff on the port? If I could say it in a simple way, or you come to clear stuff. How does the verification process works?
Now, what you will find happening is that some persons may not come to the port to clear the items for themselves.
All right.
Right? They will send someone to clear for them.
All right.
Now, before any exit pass is given to you, you have to sign for it.
Yes.
Now, and if you want to go back a bit, before entering the port, you must present a valid identification.
I think that's where my question will also come in, because John Doe could come and be cleared for GT, right?
Correct.
You understand? But would it be permitted for GT to clear John Doe's stuff? Is it permitted under those circumstances?
Yes, you could come and clear for me. I could come and clear for you.
Okay. All right. And there's no of course authorization process that has to go through between the two individuals or so?
No.
All right. It's just for a bit of clarification, get it clarified. Someone will say, well, it's not your name on the particular on the documentation. You understand? It's not your name on it, not your name on whatever you comes to clear from the port. So how come you come to get it? You understand?
Once you have the documentation and you present it to the security officer prior to entering the port, you are allowed to enter to clear that item on the documentation from the agent.
All right. Anything else that's referred to the same procedures in terms of the rules for entering, and even anything else that we missed? We missed there a bit?
No, at the port we have different persons operating. Now, what persons will find is that you may see different color coding vests. Persons wearing different colors, right? You'll have the port's police or port security wearing a different color, right? You'll find the truckers, right? Because they play an important role within the operations at the port as well, right? We'll have the agents, again. They are the one responsible for the ships coming, providing the documentation, providing certain information and so on to the Grenada Ports Authority, right? They are through whom the ships come to the island.
Okay.
Right? So as I said before, it's an amalgamation of efforts. It's a shared responsibility, all geared with one common goal.
All right.
Safety and security. And that should not at any time be downplayed or not given the recognition that it ought to be given. So at Port Police, we will continue to do what needs to be done, whether it's by continuous training. And to pause a bit here, our last major training exercise was about 2 weeks ago, right, where we had a simulation exercise at the port. And a lot of persons, were concerned while they were seeing the smoke and so on coming from the port. That was just geared at testing the communication network that exists, not only within Port Police, but we had efforts and contributions from the Grenada Red Cross, different entities, other departments within the RGPF and outside the RGPF.
All right. What's the importance of these simulations, I will ask? The importance of the simulation exercise?
One of which it is a expectation under the ISPS code again, that those drills or simulation exercise must be conducted.
All right.
Must be conducted. And that is, as I again said, it's to test your readiness for the eventuality if something like that should happen, whether or not things are in place to deal with an explosion. Because at the port, you have all sorts of things coming in. You have chemicals. Are you prepared to deal with an explosion at the port due to the storage of chemicals?
Yes.
Are you prepared to deal with the eventuality of a fire breaking out at the shed while there are persons conducting business? So you'll stage those actions to ensure that you are prepared, you are ready, and you are able to deal with if that shall happen at any particular day. How will it be dealt with?
All right. And I guess the simulation happens even while individuals are conducting their business on the port.
Yes.
Just get their reaction.
Get their reaction.
Also. Interesting to know that. Now, we branch off a little bit earlier when we spoke about it. Tell us about the procedure of how to operate, especially when it comes to the CARICOM, the CARICOM part of the port. We did speak of the international, the CARICOM. Is there any difference in terms of how operations goes there or procedures take part there?
The operations are quite similar.
Yeah.
And the expectations at CARICOM port is not much different to that of the international port. At the CARICOM port, you will have that's where the Dolly C and the Tilbury boats will dock. No, that's a localized area of it, right? So you will not find much interference with the operations down there.
All right.
Right? Persons will not be asked to give their ID card and to give information as to where they live and the contact number and so on if they are going to the Dolly C or the Tilbury Express.
So there's a more freer movement.
Exactly. But if you are going to the Shed 3 area, that's the CARICOM shed, and that's where the traffickers conduct the business, right? You ought to present your ID card. You have to give in the information as to your name, where do you live, your contact number, right? And there's one reason for this, Let's take, for example, while you're there, there's a fire, there's an explosion. The place has to be evacuated. At any given time, we ought to know how many persons were conducting business at the time.
Yes.
And it's to give account at the end to ensure that everybody were out safely and that nobody is unaccounted for.
All right. But it entices me to ask the question, no, because you did say it's a more of a free flow in terms of the entry procedure. It's not like when the international part of the port where you have to get that entry, pay that entry to come in and so forth. But there's a free for all. But suppose an incident occurred there, how will that be managed? In terms of individuals coming in, if it's a free entry for individuals to come in, not that you're not going to connect business at the Shed 3 as you mentioned, but you probably go into the boat or to the port area, that port area with the boat and stuff like that. You said there's a free entry between there.
Yes, there's a free entry to the Tyrrell Bay and the Dolly C area.
Yes.
You do not have to pay the dollar to enter. But if you're going to Shed 3, you are still expected to pay that dollar.
All right.
Right?
No, I was just concerned in terms,
Yes.
individual just go into the boat at their own free will. You understand? Anyhow you take it, security is always a matter of concern, even though it's localized. You understand? Security is always, because anyhow you deem it, it's still the port, right?
It's still the port.
All right. So that's it there for that part. Let's talk about the give some advice on how the best to achieve objective at the port. You're coming to the port, and there's still individuals who may not be. You're probably visiting the island. You understand? You probably shipped something to Grenada, and you probably want to come to take care of the procedure yourself. And then we could be someone listening, because we have folks who are listening to diaspora. There are folks on island right now, maybe thinking about the procedures that I have to adhere to. So give us some advice on how to best achieve the objectives at the port.
Right. One of the best ways to ask questions. Don't be afraid to ask questions. And that is one of our fundamental problems. Sometimes we are afraid to ask questions. Yeah. You don't know, you ask. And I believe that there is no foolish question.
Yeah.
And the only foolish question is the one that you did not ask.
All right.
So you want clarity in terms of where do I go? You ask.
Yes.
And we at the port, we are most willing to assist you and give you the directives that you need whenever you are coming to the port and you're not sure as to what you need to do. Another way in attacking that is that your shipping agent are also able to give information as to the procedures that you need to follow, right? When you obtain the documentation, they should, right, inform you as to which of the sheds that your cargo is in.
Available at. All
yes.
Right. All right.
Because each shipping agent has a designated area for their cargo. If we were to look at the busy season, the most busy season at the port, it is normally around November, December into January or early February. That's why you will see a significant increase of cargo into the port, right? There are instances where you may have to extend operating hours to accommodate the influx of persons, right? And during that time, during the normal operating hours also, persons, you come early. Because as some persons
everybody comes early. Just being funny.
Yes, you come as early as possible because the port opens at 8.
Yes.
Right? And you will want to ensure that you move out of there as quick as possible. Right? Some persons will say, but that's a day. Right? But if you are aware what you need to do or how you need to do it, it will cut down significantly on the time that you spend conducting the business.
All right. It's a way of just getting yourself familiar with
get yourself acquainted with the operations.
And it becomes I go from here, and I go from there, and that's it. And you said you ask a question, and I saw someone will give you all the relative information, and that's what you do. You get your pass, you do this, you do this, you do that, and you move on. And
one of the things persons also need to be aware of or be mindful, and they will ask, well, why so many checkpoints? The officer checked me in the shed already. Why have to check me if I'm going out? Many things can happen from the time you leave the check in the shed.
Yeah.
Right? You can still leave with something that's not yours. The officer in the shed may miss something. And the final checking point is at the exit.
All right. Is it that, in terms of when you leave, you go to that particular shed to collect your stuff, are you getting some form of checking in there when you're leaving also? Because I've been checked for some reason. I understand you said there's that final check that you get before you actually exit the port.
Yes.
But when you finish making your payments and you've been given that exit information from the shed, is any checking conducted within there before you move out with your cargo from the shed?
No.
To exit the main gate?
It is checked just before it leaves the shed. And then again at the exit.
That's where I was asking if there's some check-in taking place.
Yes, there's a check-in taking place after you leave the shed.
All right. I certainly hope listeners are hearing today, of course, those protocols, and get ready for that. We drew for another break. Let's take it, folks. We're coming back with much more in the next segment. If you do have a question or two, or you missed any of the information we shared this morning, feel free to give us a call. You may have a question or two in terms of the procedure of the port. Some concerns you may have. You may like to have ask a question in relation to that, feel free to do so when we come back in the next segment. Stay with us, folks. It's To The Point.
Yard. Use a broom instead of a hose. Save water.
This awareness initiative is part of activities under the climate resilient water sector in Grenada. The project is funded by the Green Climate Fund, the German government, and the government of Grenada.
GBN Television News at 7, a pulse on all things Grenadian. Look out for our new features through expanded synergies with our media partners in Barbados, St. Lucia, Jamaica, Trinidad, and beyond. Capturing the latest in news, sports, weather, and entertainment. Credible, informative. Thank you for making us number one. News at 7, live, Monday to Friday on GBN Television, Channel 7 and 11. K105.5 and 105.9, Hot 98.5 and 98.7, GBN Television Facebook page and YouTube channel, and www.gbn.gd. GBN, with you anywhere and everywhere.
Welcome back, listeners. Welcome back, viewers, to The Point Classic Radio, GBN TV. Of course, welcome back, Corporal Alexander. And as I mentioned, we invite your calls, 435-2041. You can also call us via the WhatsApp, 435-2041, if you do have a question or two as relates to our conversation this morning. We're talking port security, the practices, the safety procedures, and so forth at the port. If you do have a question or two, you may, of course, seek answers to. Feel free to do so. Let's take our first caller. We sort of lost that caller there. 435-2041. Let's go back to the phone line. Caller, good morning. You're welcome.
Yeah, morning, GT, and morning, Corporal Garvin Alexander. First of all, I want to really show my appreciation for Garvin. Knowing him as a youngster and hearing the confidence he exhibits as he's on your program. So I'm very, very proud of you, Garvin. You know who's speaking. Anyway, in terms of a question, a couple questions. One of the, what can you say to people that some of the things that are absolutely not accepted when coming on the port? That's one. What are the things that they shouldn't have with them or carry with them? Secondly, in terms of, you mentioned chemicals, and I know you have some connection with the environment in the younger age. Is there a problem? Is there people trying to smuggle chemicals that are not, approved and so on, and what to extent? And finally, I'm not too sure you may be able to answer the question. How has how has 9/11 influenced the elaborate operation that exists on the port now? Thank you very much. Have a good day. Thanks.
Thank you, caller. Thank you so much for your input this morning and the question asked. Let's hear from you.
Yes. Now, obscene language, disrespect to our security officers will not be tolerated at any given time. Right? Persons are forbidden for entering the ports with a weapon, any form of weapon. Knives, from time to time, the searches are being conducted. Right? Persons may have licensed firearms. Those firearms will not be allowed on the port.
All right.
You may choose to leave it at the nearest police station, secure there until you have completed your business transaction at the port. So we want persons to please bear that in mind. Right? As it relates to that of chemicals, now, before the importation of chemicals, you must obtain the necessary permits to do so.
All right.
Now, even after permits have been issued to you, we work hand in hand with the Ministry of Health and the Grenada Bureau of Standards. So once the items do not meet our standards, you will not be allowed to exit the port with it.
All right.
No matter what it is.
All right. What if an individual queries that in terms of, well, him or her may have the knowledge that the particular chemical that they're carrying to they may have sent to the island meets the standard for them, and is opposition from the the Bureau of Standards or the health authority or whatever.
It must meet our localized standard.
All right.
Whether it meets your standard. Because you see, we have to take into consideration the general public, right? The safety of the public, the safety of the nation is of paramount importance. It is critical, right? And it stands above your personal beliefs.
All right.
Right? Now, as it relates to the caller made mention of 9/11. Now, 9/11 have taught every one of us a lesson. Now, it showed the need to increase security on all levels. And within the state of Grenada, no exception.
Right.
Within the St. George's Cargo Port, no exception. So we are, as I speak of earlier, continuous training on all levels will allow us to take care of any threat that may come our way.
All right. We do have another caller. Caller, good morning. You're welcome.
Good morning, GT, and morning to the officer.
Good morning, sir.
Right. I have a couple of questions for the officer. Don't matter that I grew up in the 50s and the 60s, and I know we cannot go back. But he talked many things about the ship. But what I want to know is what way or if do they have a way before the ship comes in? Do they have a way at checking the channel first before to get the ship right away? And I know that channel is just as wide as river, or even smaller. Then what I know in the 50s and 60s, just as the vehicle have traffic rules and so, the boats have traffic rules. Once you're outside by that white, that red and that green ball, if you're coming in at 30 knots, you're supposed to zero down, let's say, I got to get it specific, at 4 knots. Who have the right of way and which side you're supposed to cross, and the speed limit or the knots you're supposed to come into that port. Because right now, I see everything is out of order. Boats passing the wrong side, they're speeding in, they're not breaking down the speed. So these are one of the things I didn't hear you mention. I want to know if these rules are still in place. Thank you very much.
Thank you, caller. Thank you so much. 435-2041. Couple, give you the opportunity to respond to the caller.
Yes. I'll respond to the caller in this manner. Now, the rules of the sea continues to be the rules of the sea. And there are no change in the rules of the sea. Now, any vessel, right, any ship, and we're speaking here of the cargo ship, they are what you call piloted into the bottom area at the cargo port. And we do have some concerns. There are some concerns. And I can assure the caller, not only the caller, but the general public, that those concerns, as expressed by the caller, is being looked at the moment. And the Grenada Ports Authority, together with the Grenada Coast Guard, things will be put in place in the shortest possible time to ensure that the concerns of the caller, and I'm sure that it's the concern of other persons as well, to ensure that the rules of the sea are adhered to.
All right. We have another caller. We lost that caller there, 435-2041. Someone is asking via the WhatsApp, a question via the WhatsApp. They're asking, is the Grenada planning on having dogs on the port entrance or sort of that? If that question, of course, could be answered.
Right. I cannot speak directly to that. What I can say is that very soon there will be some increased security measures.
All right.
Operations may be interfered with, but in a positive way, to ensure heightened security at the port takes place. That's as much I will say on that.
Okay. Caller, good morning. You're welcome.
Hello, good morning, GT, and thanks for taking the call, and good morning to the officer. I'm just asking whether or not we can have a little bit more efficient service on the port when it comes to importation of vehicles. I found the process very cumbersome. You have to go backwards and forwards. Of course, to get your number plate, to get your license for the vehicle, of course, you have to get the car insured. But is there any way all of this could be centralized on the port, saving people going out and coming back in? With the technology today, I'm hoping that it can be done, because I found the process quite cumbersome. So thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, caller. Thank you so much.
No, I believe that I spoke to that.
Yeah, we spoke a bit earlier.
And not too long from now, the operations of the port will be somewhat centralized.
All right. I do have a couple of questions I want to ask before we do entertain another caller. And the first question, number one, are sex toys allowed to pass the port? Question number one.
No.
No. Question number two, are scanners or other equipment being considered to combat the rising in gun population? Would that be implemented via the port?
Yes, that is in the making. The equipment is already on island, and it's being set up as we speak. And persons can rest assured. As I said before, it's all about heightened security and to ensure that the nation remains safe and the operations at the port remains highly effective.
All right. And my question number three, is there a timeline for measures to make payment more efficient so that it does not have to walk the four corners of the port to conduct business? I think you mentioned you have said something about that earlier, but you could probably repeat it again.
There's no set time in terms of doing all of that. Now, I want the general public, to be mindful that if your cargo remains on the port for an extended period of time, it will cost you more.
All right.
So I'll advise that once you get that call from your agent that your cargo is on island and it's ready for collection, you should do so within the soonest possible time to avoid any additional charges for storage and so forth.
All right. We do have another caller. Caller, good morning. You're welcome.
Morning, and morning to your guests. I'll be very brief. A couple questions. One, these I see that some of these cargo boats conducting business in front. That's Hubbard's Lumber and Cement, I think, on the carnage. Various companies load up cylinders, and then I see some boats taking cases of from the breweries to take the cargo. And at times, I mean, it don't happen regular, but at times it becomes a traffic issue on the carnage, because, trucks have to back up on these boats to load and offload or whatever. I mean, why not use the port? The CARICOM port has been mentioned in the past for doing such business. That's question one. And if you all have any way of alleviating that problem, the two, who is in charge of? Is it the port in charge of these fishing vessels that line that whole area on the carnage to the financial complex? That's basically my question. I don't know if you have any input to that. Thank you.
Thank you, caller. Thank you so much.
Right. Thank you for your questions, caller. And I want to take us back to not too long ago, where the Grenada Ports Authority put out a release that dealt with the vessel, the boats packing up within the inner harbor.
Yeah.
Now, the Grenada Ports Authority is responsible, right, for that area. And those concerns are relevant, and I can assure the caller and the rest of the public that the Grenada Ports Authority, together with the RGPF, things are being put into place at this time, and within short order, those concerns will be dealt with and it will be addressed.
Okay, great. I have one question from someone via the WhatsApp once again, and they're saying, yes, you did mention there's no drones over the port. And they're asking what measures, if there's any that will be put in forth to deal with any of these intrusion that have been mentioned before. What measures have been put in place to help deal with it?
As for a security point of view, there are some measures that cannot be publicized.
Okay. All right, great. We do have a caller via WhatsApp. Caller, good morning. You're welcome.
Yeah, I'm calling back just for one more question. I asked most of the question that most of the issue that the officer have been dealing with is like when you're going to receive. What about if you are in the business of exporting now? Does anything is required of? I mean, what is the requirement here? Thanks.
Thank you, caller. Thank you so much. And he's asking the question in terms of exporting now, in the process of exporting. What was the process on the port? How did that dealt with via the port?
Right. It can be dealt with in two different ways. And it must be considered whether or not you are exporting within CARICOM or you're exporting internationally. For example, if you are exporting within the CARICOM region, the process is much, much simpler. Right? Internationally, you will need an agent. Right? Whether you are exporting with tropical shipping or compass shipping, that must first be determined. Right? Based on what you are exporting, you will have to obtain permits, various permits that will allow you to take certain things out of the island. Let's take, for example, persons exporting scrap metals and derelict vehicles. Those scrap metal or derelict vehicles must first be inspected and an inspection certificate be given by the Criminal Investigation Department.
Okay.
That is critical, or else it will not be able to leave the St. George's cargo port.
And that has to happen before it gets to the port or on the port itself?
It can be inspected on the site where those scrap metals are being obtained and being placed on the vehicle. And sometimes it is inspected at the port itself before it is loaded into containers or on the vessel itself. Now, persons exporting produce, one of the things persons need to have before that is done, you must have a health certificate. It must be inspected by the Grenada Bureau of Standards. You will have health officials stationed at the port who will jointly inspect those produce to ensure that it meets exporting standards. And the necessary certificate or documentation will be given to you, which will allow you to export that produce.
All right. We do have another caller. Caller, you're welcome. Good morning.
Yes, Gigi, sorry I have to call back, but I was trying to get a specific on the channel because the officers said they have a pilot, but I know there's a pilot. What I know is that channel is about 40 feet wide and is not straight, so they have corners. And if a ship is already coming into that channel and there's debris or something overnight go down inside there, and the ship come in, the pilot is inside and then check and they come in, that ship will have to reverse back out and it's going to be difficult. It's going to be a wreckage inside there. So that's why I was wondering, do they have a way of checking that channel before the ship comes in? Either by a drone flying over and check it or something.
Now, what will happen is that once any vessel is expected within port, the pilot will clear the way for that vessel. All right? If there is any obstruction in the way with the use of the pilot, should I say here that the Marine Department within the Grenada Ports Authority has such responsibility.
Okay.
Right? So once there is any obstruction, they are the ones who will ensure that that obstruction is cleared. If, for example, there's any difficulty experienced by any vessel, right? The call will be made through VHF radio through channel 16, and we'll be allotted, and we'll take whatever precautions need to be taken at the time to ensure that they arrive at the port safely.
Okay. We do have another caller via WhatsApp. Good morning. You're welcome.
Good morning, JT.
Good morning.
Hello. And hello, Mr. Alexander. I don't know if this question is relevant or not, but can you ask Mr. Alexander what is his take on the amount of money you have to pay to clear stuff in Grenada, you know? Because I find that it's very, very expensive, and that's why people out on the street or in Grenada have to sell products what don't make in Grenada very expensive. I just want to know that, please. If you could ask that for me.
Thank you, caller. Thank you so much. Yes. I'm not sure if
that is a concern of every individual within the trial and state of Grenada. And really, I do not have that answer.
All right.
Port security does not control that aspect of it.
The cost and factor, they don't deal with that part of it. Anyway, let's take another caller. Caller, good morning. You're welcome.
Good morning, JD. How you doing, brother?
Not too bad at all. Go right ahead.
Good morning to the officer. Good morning to the officer. I heard the officer spoke about a number of measures, right? People entering the port, checks and balance. What are the officers tell me? What are they doing to stop the guns and ammunition and the stolen vehicles and the corruption on the port itself? What is it they're doing about that aspect of things? Have a nice day, bro.
Thank you, caller. Thank you so much. Any response to the caller, officer?
Again, there are certain security measures that cannot be disclosed to the public. Now, I want to reassure the general public that Port Police and the entire RGPF remains committed, and I want to stress that. We remain committed to dealing with the illegal importation of weapons or any item that is forbidden from importation. Now, we remain committed again to securing all ports of entry within the state of Grenada. And measures are being put in place to ensure that those areas are properly secured and that the nation remains safe. As I said before, there are certain security measures that cannot be disclosed.
All right. A question I would like to ask. You spoke a lot of the port in St. George, a whole lot in terms of the security measures. But does these measures, of course, implemented in all ports of entries?
All ports of entries, including Carriacou.
All right. Of course, Constable Alexander, this is where we get set to wrap. Any closing comments before we take a wrap this morning?
Yes. First of all, I want to just take the opportunity here again to inform the general public of the Police Week celebrations that takes place from the 2nd of June. And as part of that celebration, the North Central Division's Day will be held on Tuesday, the 28th of May, in front of the Esplanade Mall. And this is in keeping with the Police Week 2024 under the theme Honoring Grenada's Golden Jubilee, Our Journey. And on that day, we will have a route march from the Green Bridge onto the streets of the town of St. George. And we'll be targeting the increase of gun violence and the call for peace and unity within the state of Grenada. There will also be a health fair involving other stakeholders, the General Hospital, the Ministry of Health, that is, the Grenada Red Cross. And also there will be an exhibition on that day where the various departments within this North Central Division will have an exhibition. And there will also be entertainment, with our main feature being that of the RGPF band.
All right.
So we're encouraging persons to stop by and get your health checks and to learn more of the different departments within the RGPF, that is the North Central Division, and celebrate Police Week with us.
All right. Okay, great. Once again, Corporal, of course, Garvin Alexander, thank you for being on the program this morning. Thank you for sharing information. I know the general public who have listened, those who are viewing us via TV, may have understand now some of the procedures if they were missing it out for some reason or the other. And thanks once again. Hope to have you back soon.
Thank you.
All right. Hey, folks, as we take a wrap for this edition of To The Point, join me again tomorrow for another edition. Have yourself a great day, folks.